Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my channel. Here we'll study 12th standard biology. Lesson number 2, reproduction in lower and higher plants. Part 1. Reproduction. It is a biological process by which new individual organisms or offsprings are produced from their parents. It is a fundamental feature of all known life as it ensures the continuity of a species. Animals reproduce in two main ways. The first one is asexually, and the second one is sexually. Now we'll see here the first one, asexual reproduction means the reproduction which is takes place without the fusion of two gamete cells. Okay, it involves a single parent producing offsprings that are genetically identical to itself. There is no fusion of gamete cells or mixing of genetic material from two individuals. This process allows for rapid population growth and it is common in simpler organisms. Means in humans sexual reproduction won't take place, so it will take place in some lower animals. In higher animals or in human beings this type of reproduction won't take place. Now, here we'll see the second type of reproduction that is called the sexual reproduction. This type of reproduction will take place in higher animals and the other human beings also. Sexual reproduction is a most common form of reproduction in animals. It involves the fusion of two gametes or sex cells from two different parents, a male and a female. The male gamete is called sperm and the female gamete called the sperm or the ovum. This process typically involves these steps. The first one is the gamete production. In this step, a specialized organ such as testes in males and ovaries in female produce haploid gametes through meiosis. The second one is the fertilization. The sperm and egg fuses to form a diploid cell called a zygote. This fusion can be either internal fertilization or the external fertilization. Now we'll see here the first one, internal fertilization. It occurs inside the female body. This is common in land animals like mammals, reptiles, and birds, and it protects the developing egg or an embryo. Now, the next one is the external fertilization. This process carries out outside the female body, usually in veterinary environment. Many aquatic animals, such as fish and amphibians, use this method. This method is also used in frogs also by hatching the tadpoles or in hens or cocks also. Now, the next one is the embryo development. Now, in this process, the zygote undergoes repeated cell division and development goes on, forming an embryo depending on the species the embryo can develop. Inside the mother body, viviparous animals receives nourishment directly from her. Most mammals are used this embryo development. A sexual type of reproduction. This reproduction won't take place in higher animals or in human beings. This type of reproduction will take place in the lower animals. Generally, reproduction involves a single parent producing offsprings. They are genetically identical to itself. This method doesn't require gametes or fertilization. While less common in the animal kingdom, It is found in many invertebrates and a few vertebrates. Now we'll see here the type of asexual reproduction. It includes budding and fragmentation and many others. But mainly we'll see here first one, budding. A new individual will grow as an outgrowth or bud on the parent body. The bud eventually detaches and become an independent organism. Now the example includes hydra and sponges. Now the next one is fragmentation. The parent's body breaks into multiple fragments, and each fragment regenerates the missing part to become a new complete organism. Like starfish and some worms can produce this way. Now the next one is the parthenogenesis. An unfertilized egg develops into a new individual. This can occur in insects like aphids and honeybees, and in some reptiles and fishes and sharks. The gemule formation, it is a type of sexual reproduction seen in freshwater sponges and some marine species. It is a survival strategy that allows sponges to endure unfavorable environmental conditions such as extreme temperature and desiccation, drying out. This process involves the formation of tough dormant structure called gemune, which can be thrown off as an internal bud. The structure of gemule. A gemule is essentially a tiny spherical ball with a highly organized structure designed for protection. Now, archaeocytes at the core of the gemule is a mass of undifferentiated totipotent cell called archaeocyte. These cells are packed with food l- reserves and have the potential to develop into any type of sponge cell. The spicules, the arcucide mass is surrounded by a protective multilayered coat. Embedded within this coat are sharp skeletal elements called spicules, which provide structural support and defense against the predators. Now, the micropyle. The entire structure has a small opening or a pore called the micropyle. This is the exit point for arcucide when conditions become favorable of an organism. The process of gemule formation. Gemule formation is triggered by environmental cues such as decreasing water temperature in autumn. This process are as follows. The first one step is aggregation of archaeocite. In response to the unfavorable conditions, the archaeocytes begin to aggregate in a central mass within the sponge's body. Secretion of protective layer. Other cells called embryocytes surrounded the central mass of archaeocyte. They secrete a tough chitinous inner layer and an outer layer. The next one is spicule or deposition. Specialized cell called cereloblast deposit spicules between the inner democracy and release. Once a fully formed and gemmules become dormant, the parent sponge dies and discontinue. These gemmules are released into the environment. Now, the final step is the germination. When environmental conditions become favorable against the dormant gemmule germinates. The archaeocytes within the gemmule become active and emerge through the micropyle. These cells then differentiate and organize themselves to form a new complete sponge. Budding. It is a type of sexual reproduction in which a new organism develops from an outgrowth or bud on the parent body. This offspring is genetically identical to the parent. This method is common in many invertebrate animals. The process of budding. The process typically follows these steps. The first one is the outgrowth formation. A small bud or Postulation appears on a specific part of parent body due to repeat cell division. Now the next one is the development. The bud continues to grow, developing the necessary structure, becomes a complete functional organism. This receives nourishment directly from the parent to this the outgrowth phase. Now the next one is the separation. Once the bud has matured, it detaches from the parent body and becoming an independent individual. In some colonial animals like corals, the new individuals may remain attached, forming a large colony. Now the examples of budding in animal. The first one is hydra, a small freshwater organism. Hydra is a classic example of budding. A bud forms on a body, grows into a mature hydra with its own tentacles and evenly breaks away to live independently. The next one is the sponges. Some sponges, like freshwater sponge, Spongilia, use a form of budding called gemule formation to survive the harsh condition. Now, the next one is the Corylus. Coral polyps reproduces by budding to form large interconnected colonies that make up coral reefs. Now the next one is jellyfish. The polyp stages of the jellyfish life cycle can produce sexually by budding, producing new polyps or mussels. The human reproduction. It is a biological process of creating new individual. It is a type of sexual reproduction that involves the union of male and female gametes to form a new life. This process is regulated by a complex interplay of hormones and involves specialized reproduction organ in both sexes. Now, male and female reproduction system. Human reproduction requires a male and female reproduction system to work together. Now we'll see here the female reproductive system. The female system is designed to produce eggs or ova, receive sperms, provide a site for fertilization, and nourishes and protect a developing fetus. The main organ includes ovaries, which is used to produce eggs and female hormones like estrogen and progesterone. A female is born with all the egg cells and she will never have. Next one is fallopian tube. Tubes that connect the ovaries to the uterus. Fertilization typically happens here. The next one is the uterus, a muscular organ where a fertilized egg implants and a fetus develops. Its lining, the endometrium, thickness each month in preparation for a potential pregnancy. Now, the next one is vagina, a muscular canal that connects the uterus to the outside of the body. It receives the penis during sexual intercourse and is the birth canal. Now, we'll see here the male reproductive system. The male system primary functions to produce and deliver sperm. The main organ includes testes, epididymis, vas deferens, and the penis. The first one is the testes. It produces sperms and male hormone testosterone. The testes are located outside the body in the scrotum, which maintain a lower temperature necessary for sperm protection. Now the next one is epididymis. It is colloid tube where sperms mature and are stored. The next one is the vas deferens, a tube that transport mature sperms to the urethra. Prostate gland and seminal vessels, gland that produces the fluid component of semen, which nourishes and protects the sperm. Now the next one is the penis, the external organ used for sexual intercourse and expelling the semen. Now here we can see the main function of the male reproductive organ is to produce the semen or the sperm only. The semen is a white sticky liquid which contains 1,000 of sperms. So is to the main function of the male reproductive part means the penis and the scrotum is to produce the semen or nourishes the sperms and to ejaculate into the female body. This is the main function, main and only function. Says the human reproduction process is a series of interconnected steps. The first one is the gamete production. Spermatogenesis. Males continuously produce sperms in the testes from puberty onwards. The next one is oogenesis. Female are born with their primary oocytes, immature egg cells, and one egg matures and it releases from an ovary each month during ovulation, which is a part of the menstrual cycle. The next one is sexual intercourse and fertilization. During sexual intercourse, a million of sperms are ejaculated in the vagina. They swim through the cervix and uterus and into the fallopian tubes. If a sperm successfully penetrates an egg, fertilization occurs. Fertilization occurs and formation of a single cell zygote. The third one is the embryonic and fetal development. The zygote begins to divide rapidly as it travels down the fallopian tube. So here we can see the detailed process of the reproduction in human beings. So the male and female, the both the partners are required in this process, and the main reproductive organs are the uterus and the penis. And for eggs and sperms, these two cells are the most important cells in the production. When the sperms and eggs will get fused, then the further process will takes place called the fertilization. Once the fertilization has been done, the development of a new baby is started. The cleavage. The zygote undergoes a rapid cell division, forming a solid ball of cells called a morula, which when develops into a hollow ball of cells called the blastocytes. Now the next one is the implantation. The blastocyte reaches the uterus and implants itself into the uterine lining, marking the beginning of pregnancy. The next one is the embryonic stage. From about 3 to 8 weeks, the implanted blastocytes called an embryo. All major organs and body systems begin to form. The next is the fetal stage. From the week 9 until birth, the developing human is called fetus. Organs and system continues to grow and mature. The placenta forms to provide nutrients and oxygen to the fetus and removes the waste product. Now the final stage is the birth. After about 9 months of development, the fetus is ready for birth. Hormonal signals triggers labor, which involves uterine contraction to push the baby out of the uterus through the cervix and vagina and into the world. So this is the final process. The whole process of ninth month concludes the birth. Once the baby has been formed completely, the uterus gives the signals in a form of some hormones to the brain and which induces the labor pain. So here we have completed the part 1 of chapter number 2, that is reproduction in lower and higher animals. I hope you like this video. Please keep watching without the forwarding of this video and please share and subscribe the channel.